First try, never miss. First try, never miss. Okay. First thing I thought I would help people with is something about balancing. So, cheap props. But that way, when the airline loses your props, you don't give as much of a crap because they're cheap. When you want to learn to balance one juggling club, the thing that'll make it tougher is a club being only like this long falls more quickly than something taller like a plunger. But that's not the obstacle that gets most people when they give up on balancing. People, when you think something is straight, it's actually leaning forward. So you put it up there for the first time, everybody makes it look so easy, but it falls right off. And I'll tell you why, because when you think, you mentally, visually perceive it to be straight, and it's about here at this angle. What you need to do is, once you think it's straight, tilt it back until it falls the other way and catch it. Then put both hands up until you feel that little zero gravity point, that 0 point where it's not really falling forward or back. At that point, it'll probably fall sideways. So if you want to do it easier, something longer is easier. You can use a plunger, but if you don't have one, I recommend any tennis racket. Try to ignore that the laundry just fell out of my bag. The zipper's broken in the laundry compartment. That's just really, excuse me. I'll just have you keep your eyes off my laundry. Okay, so I travel with 5 of these because I saw a movie with Tom Hanks where for many years on a desert island, his only companion was named Wilson. So these pack flatter than a volleyball. So anyway, when you balance something, the key is you only want to look at the highest point, or at least somewhere high, because the only thing you're doing in balancing is just a controlled fall. It's always falling in an analog number of infinite possible directions, but not very fast, especially if it's taller. So when you learn to balance on your face, first you got to beat the it's falling already problem where you think that's straight, but it's not. Seems impossible because you're dropping it right away. So like I said before, get it, then push it up until it's about to fall back and stop it. It's about to fall forward and stop it. And then once it's between your hands, a nice tall object, I'm looking up at the W or higher, then if you don't like the chin, I recommend not the soft part, but the bony part of the nose. And I recommend sideways. Now I'm looking here at this part. If you use the forehead, you have your choice. I usually go this way, and I look at the highest point of this front curve of the racket. But the key is this. Learn to balance on your hand first. First, the top of your hand, or the top of your first 2 fingers where you have the most control. Some people like the thumb, like Bruce Serafian. He's a god. He learned with the thumb, but I have the most control over either 1 finger or 2, but you're still looking at the top. You don't need to know where your hand is visually. You know where your hand is somatically. So just once it's on your fingers, look away and don't look back at your hand. Look at the top part of whatever you're balancing. And the key is when it falls that way, I go that way. And you want to have your elbow close to your body. You don't want to be overextended because that's really hard. Keep an L form on your elbow and look at it. And keep the entire thing really close to your personal space. You can also balance it like this. But I find at the beginning, the racket balance is best like this. Once you can do this a little, remember you're doing the controlled fall. It goes that way, you go that way. It goes that way, you go that way. Those adjustments become smaller and smaller until they're almost invisible. See that? I can look at the camera behind the racket or through the racket because my adjustments are getting more and more automatic. Now, I turn it to the side of my hand for a more true balance where I can't possibly hold it. Then I go to the back of my hand, same thing. But the key now is you want to start teaching your brain level to balance. So you want to get your hand where it's the same height as your chin. And you're still looking up, but you want your hand approximately, doesn't have to be perfect, but approximately the same height as your chin. And then try to imagine that your hand and your chin are now moving as one, because the next step is you're going to put your hand on your chin and try to remember how you moved to balance it on your hand. If you have any problems, go back to the hand, almost chin height, and then closer to your body, and then at chin height. Then take the object off, looking at the highest point you're comfortable with. Notice my feet are in a splayed position to give me a little bit of flex so I don't have to walk around too much. Feet in a splayed position instead of, what I mean is 1 forward and 1 back. It's okay either way. Give yourself a sturdier base to lean. Now you have it here. Now you put it here, but you keep your finger on your chin so you can feel that same balance skill that you have in your hand until you take it away. For me, the most comfortable balance has become up here on the forehead. But let's go to the ball balance now. Balancing a ball in your head from a throw, that seems really hard at the beginning, because it is. Most people rush the process. If you want to balance a ball, you want to use a larger ball first. Just like a longer object, a larger ball is easier to balance because the corrections are possible with a wider margin of error, and they're possible to be done more gross movement than fine movement. The smaller ball is going to be gone pretty soon when you mess up. The larger ball is more forgiving. So I'll take this smiley ball, I'll place it on my head. How do I know where to balance it? What you want to do is take your head, tilt it back so it's as level as you can get it. Table level. You're looking straight at the ceiling. This flat part of your forehead, owie, this flat part of your forehead is parallel with the floor and the ceiling. It's in floor plane, we call it, right? And then, where do we balance it? We balance it the same place where it will bounce straight. Try to bounce it right above your eyebrows on the flattest part of your forehead, if you have one. And if you can bounce it even once, that spot is where you also want to balance it. Could come in hand later if you want to learn that trick, but either way, there's a little space between the bones of your eyebrows, and there may even be a little pit here, and that's where you put it. So, you're looking at the ball, you want to be able to come down to a knee and back up, and once you can do that, you've got it. Go to a smaller ball and balance like that. Once you can do that, remember, you want your head as flat as a table. You don't want to be up here on the footballer or soccer player bouncing area. That's round. That won't balance the ball well unless you're a SEAL, in case you are, if you understand me, congrats. Most SEALs don't speak English, or American, whatever this is. Now, most people think that this is impossible to learn. I throw from waist height and catch it in a nice smooth balance with either hand. How did I shape that? How did I learn that? People throw it up and hit themselves. Owie, in the head. Do not do this. What you want to do, this is a secret that I invented, and I promise you it'll help you. No, I'm not selling it. No, I won't charge. Please spread this around. It's free. I might need to stay on your couch, though, but I'll do the dishes. Now, here's the deal. This is how you throw the ball and catch it lightly on a balance. It works with an egg. It works with a billiard ball. Do not try those two objects until you've learned it with a softer ball first. You reach up and place the ball in a balance. Oh, you have to be good with the balance first. Okay? Once you've got the balance, and you know you've got it, okay, then drop it into your hand. All you want to do there is feel how hard it hits your hand and reach back up with the same catching hand and put it back up. Dump it into your hand again. Put it back. It has to be balanced every time. It must be balanced. You got to take your hand away all the way down to approximately navel height or waist height. Place, dump, catch. Navel height or waist height. I'll show you navel height next. Place, dump, catch. That's navel height. Place, dump, catch, waist height. Okay, here's why I'm doing that. We're going to reverse that strength. When you take something and you first feel how heavy it is, then you know, visually looking at that object, how heavy it will be. But remember, sometimes you pick up your empty suitcase and you thought it was full and you woo, and for a second, you think you're really strong. George Carlin, rest in peace. But anyway, when you know the weight of something and you're used to it, that's the secret behind this. You want to be able to throw the object rather than reaching up and place it. And I'll tell you how to fix it. Here's the secret. Ready? Every time you place it, take your hand away from the ball so there's a little air, a little daylight between your hand and the ball, but only a little bit sooner, increasing that space. I'll show you. First place and dump. Place and dump. There's no air. I take the ball all the way up. Now I'm going to let go with about an inch. Or I'll say, okay, centimeters, 2 centimeters. I'm just going to come up to here, but I'm still all the way up to my shoulder before I dump it. If it misses, if you hit yourself, if it goes crazy, go back to place and dump. Then I'm going to take it away a little bit earlier. This is a process that takes a few days. Stretch and relax your neck. Lie on the floor, do neck rolls. This will make your neck tired learning this. Okay, don't give up. Next day your neck is sore. You've earned a rest. But finally from here, and if you're really confident, you can even, not me, new shoes. I don't know. This will probably be an excuse reel from now on. Yep. Sorry. Just about took out the camera guy. That is not polite when it's not his fault. That one almost worked. Now, I recommend learning this with a bare foot or a sock foot, but when I perform, I always have to have shoes on. So I try to take inside the shoe, take the first and second toe, separate them, bend them up a little bit, and then I'll make a little pocket in your foot. It can also make a tiny hint of a pocket in your shoe, and then you, oh, that was close. That's the closest one today. Il est possible que ça se fait pas aujourd'hui. It's possible that it doesn't happen today. Ta-da! From the foot. You can also throw to the ear, and this is what you do. You learn to do a head roll to the ear. First, you learn to balance it on your ear, or you can choose a true balance on the temple where you actually look at it. I prefer to get it in the ear so I can look forward. And to learn this trick is many different things, but once you've got the ear balance like this, you want to learn to drop your ear into a table flat position. So you look up. I recommend a mirror for this. You want to be able to lay the ball onto your ear and hold it there, up to this. Now let me show you the angle from the side of where my body is relative to my head. Right now, my balancing point is behind my butt. Now, it's closer, but it's still behind my butt. In order to push it back up, this will take a year to learn. You have to dip it down a little. Your whole body pushes your ear up, and it's a throw and a catch. It's not really, but it feels like one that doesn't quite leave the skin. Once you do that, push up. You've got to find that balance the same way that you did here. And then if you want to catch on the ear, you throw to this position, and at the last moment, you put your ear under like this. Do not try to throw like this. You will always miss. Once you throw, then go down to catch it on your ear. I recommend trying to learn it with not only both hands, but both ears. So this hand can throw to opposite, and this can throw to opposite. All this stuff takes forever. This is a stage ball. It's vinyl. It's a bit hollow in the middle, but it's springy. It doesn't bounce too well, but they never hurt. They're vinyl and they're nice. So that's the ball part.